is the adult life of job hunting and other shit as stupid and time consuming as it is? Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Don't mind the shades, I'm wearing these for totally justifiable reasons that I don't have time to explain now. So I'm sure you've noticed by the title that for the past several weeks, I've spent most of my time playing Mario Kart World on the all-new Nintendo Switch 2. That is, if you consider almost a month old new. After all that time, I'd say I'm just about ready to do a full review on this game and see if it's all it's cranked up to be. So, is it, as many kids won't stop saying these days, peak? No, it's not. Is it one of the best Mario Kart games in the series? I can't really answer that. Like I mentioned, I've sunk many countless hours into this game, mostly because just like every other Mario Kart, it was really addicting. And because it's the only game for the Switch 2 that interests me at the moment. We'll be covering every crucial detail, offering my comprehensive analysis, and exploring vital community discussions surrounding this game. With that said, let's get into things.
Alright, I'm just gonna dive into my and many other folks' main thought on this game, and that's how stupendous the soundtrack is here. Nintendo really thought that it would be a smart idea to basically remix every gosh-forsaken song in the Mario series, and sure enough, it was a smart idea because I freaking love it! Perhaps we have our answer as to why this game is worth so much. You're basically spending your money on an entire music album that contains a minigame. Just like every Sonic game of Four Forces. The song you're hearing right now is one out of the many songs I've been listening to ever since I heard it in one of the trailers, Toad's Factory. Of course, it's not all just remixes. There are some new samples here and there, but I wouldn't be surprised if most of my time was spent hearing the millions of remixes we got. This soundtrack slaps so hard it owes me alimony. Nintendo's musical identity crisis continues, dabbling in jazz, metal, and even country. Anyway, music's over. Now time for me to give my thoughts on how the gameplay feels and how fun it is overall. Unfortunately, this is where some of the flaws I have for this game will start to show, but don't you toxic positivity geeks start crying yet, because my complaints for how the game plays will be brief. The positives I got are that this is the smoothest it has ever felt to control someone in Mario Kart. Of course it retains the core Mario Kart feel with drifting, power sliding, and doing tricks. Just like every new installment, it introduces a variety of new gameplay mechanics which include rail grinding, riding and jumping from wall to wall, and last but not least, the open world. Also, this time instead of driving in the water, you can now drive on the water. Gosh, we're really thieving off of Sonic at this point, are we? Or Diddy Kong Racing. The more I look at and play Mario Kart World, the more I start to think that it's trying to be its own thing rather than a sequel. Whether that's a good or bad thing depends on who you ask. And along with new mechanics, we got new items which include the coin shell, ice flower, hammer, and Kamek. Not sure why Kamek was reduced to an item after being playable in the DLC for the last game, but Nintendo has their reasons. They're dumb reasons. And in case that wasn't dumb enough, the way you unlock characters in this game is through the Kamek item, which irks the hell out of me as a Mario completionist. We've also got some returning items like the Mega Mushroom and Feather, but for some reason these two are listed as new items when they aren't. Obviously. The Mega Mushroom was in Kart Wii, and the Cape was in the battle mode for Kart 8 Deluxe. Something I was hoping this game would allow you to do is swap between the two items you have. Like if you had a banana peel and a red shell but wanted to use the red shell, you could just press a button and switch between the two items. Sadly, that's not here. Not sure why, since I feel that could make the races a bit more anticipating, but that's just me. Anyway, now time to address the tracks themselves, and I'm glad to say that this game has a decent selection of new tracks and retro tracks. They even completely redesigned Choco Mountain for some reason, which had me thinking it was a completely new track, but nope, this is supposed to be Choco Mountain. Hell, I'm just glad to see a handful of my favorite tracks in the series make their return here, like Airship Fortress, DK Pass, and Shy Guy Bazaar. One of the new tracks that I heavily appreciate is DK Spaceport. Everything is a nod to DK81, going from the music to the giant robot DK. But of course you have Rainbow Road, which they did a banger job with. And I didn't fall off 800 times in this one either. Now I have to make the tough decision whether I prefer the 3DS Rainbow Road over this one or not. Gotta say, I do like the detail of how instead of just driving around the same track 3 times, we now drive a small section of the previous track that connects to the next track. For some reason, I thought I wouldn't like this since I was thinking it could ruin the experience a bit, but I don't mind it at all. Although I have to say that it's laughably bizarre going from Kart 8's roster of tracks, including the Booster Pass DLC, to this game's roster. I know for sure that we'll most likely get some new tracks as DLC as time goes on, since we all know Nintendo will never let that decision go, but the list of tracks feel a bit too minimal for me, especially since I got them all completed in a single day. Then we have the all-new mode being Knockout Tour, which is basically a survival mode, and let me tell you, it's way more addicting than it should be. And I'd gush about the graphics, but so has everyone since the invention of eyeballs. As for the battle mode, Alright, now time for me to address a lot more of the negatives about the gameplay, since I feel I went on a positivity spree for long enough. Doing parkour is great, but considering how easy it makes for the CPUs to pass you, it could be tough deciding whether to actually compete in the race or waste time doing stunts. So while it's good that the game allows you to show off your skills with how well you play, there are times where I don't feel obligated to do so, mostly during Grand Prix and knockout rallies.
Another strange thing this game has done was kill the streak of how simple it was to unlock the mirror mode. Before, it was always get a gold trophy in every cup, but now you have to do that in Grand Prix and Knockout Rally and collect 10 Peach medallions and 10 question mark panels and complete 10 P-Switch missions in free roam.
Also, why is rewinding a thing you could do? It's fine to have it for free roam, but it'll just make you look stupid for doing that in anything but the open areas. And notice how I haven't really brought up free roam that much when I was giving my positive thoughts? Well, the reason for that is, I didn't find it all that fun. Free roam is a nice way of trying to get accustomed to the tracks and finding out which routes to take when you're racing, but the best way I can describe the feeling of this overall is repetitive and lacking. The biggest thing I can praise the open world for is how much eye candy it offers you with how gorgeous it is, but that's kinda it. Which I'd just like to remind you all again that I predicted both the name and main gimmick for this game a while back, so I'd like some props for that, thank you. All you're given to do is P-Switch challenges, which insist of you racing your rivals, going through rings, collecting blue coins, or beating the clock. You're also given the tasks of collecting Peach medallions and flipping on question panels. All of that is fine and dandy, but there's no real purpose to go around and search for every nook and cranny the world has to offer, since there's no main objective or story mode. Which I'm surprised isn't inserted in here. Most of the time, you're just going to be coming across the same P-Switch you've already completed over and over. To think of it, why haven't they implemented a radar or just any easy way of finding new P-Switch challenges or Peach coins? I'd gain a lot more confidence and patience if that were the case, but we can't have nice things now, can we? Says the big company. To put it simple, free roam has many enjoyable aspects, but those aspects can often feel overshadowed by the lack of any real purpose, and Nintendo seems to be really obsessed with trying to force the open world aspect upon you here. But what about that online mode? Well, it was fun, until they updated the game, which now forces players to race in a straight line during intermissions if random is selected. Seriously, I have no idea what the thought process of adding this into the game was. I'm low-key starting to think the cocky side of Nintendo is starting to show itself way more than it needs to. While I do think this decision is stupid, I hardly care as much as you think, since I'm mostly someone that just likes to play the Versus mode in Mario Kart over and over. So online's probably going to see less of me than my couch, but Nintendo, consider this a strongly worded suggestion to unimprove things. Alright, tangent over for now. Let's get back into some more of this game's redeeming aspects. I just love how much life was put in and how expressive each and every one of the characters are. From them terrified as hell when seeing the blue shell, to them celebrating when getting first place. Look at that rad sweep kick Mario does! My boy is so cool! And I guess now we can talk about the main appealing aspect of this game, at least to me, and that's the character roster, along with the stylish get-ups. You know what's truly awesome? The fact that this game is strictly focused on Mario characters. No Link, no villagers, just pure Mario Kart action. I wasn't fond of that since, well, this is Mario Kart, not Nintendo All-Stars Kart. I always felt those other characters were just taking up valuable slots that could have been filled with more amazing and even lesser known Mario characters. And guess what? I'm stoked that some of those characters finally got their chance to shine in World. Mario Kart's dominance proves that Nintendo All-Stars Racer is unnecessary. It's the definitive kart racing experience, why settle for less? Speaking of karts, I'm probably one of the few who's glad the customization is gone from 7 and 8. Didn't hate it, but it seemed like a waste of time in retrospect. I just want to race, not build karts. This last complaint is a bit of a nitpick, I'll admit, but I feel it would have been smarter to have the alternate costume versions of the characters not take up an entire slot, and instead just have them be selected when you choose the character. Kart 8 didn't have this issue given how they made it easy to cycle through the different colored Yoshis and Shy Guys, and sorting them doesn't even fix it all that much. Overall, Mario Kart World is a beautiful mess to me, like a toddler trying to ice a cake. Sometimes it's glorious, sometimes it's a sticky, sugary disaster. But hey, at least it's edible. Mostly. And usually I don't like talking about how much a game costs when I'm reviewing it because why should I? Normally it wouldn't serve a purpose in the core gameplay, but I'm gonna have to hold my integrity regardless. This game shouldn't have been $80. I would have been a bit harsh on this fact more, but since I bought the Switch 2 bundle that included this game, and since I didn't buy my Switch 2, I can hardly be as mean as I could be here. Well, when you live in a gaming fandom that won't stop yapping about the problems the game has, that's nothing to be ashamed of, thankfully.
Either Nintendo was really trying to oversell the open world aspect, or most of the time, money, effort, and sweat went into that godlike OST. Well, on the bright side, at least I can laugh at the folks who thought spending $50 on the Mario vs. Donkey Kong remake was a mistake. In conclusion, my analysis of Mario Kart World reveals that the widespread of online concerns and criticism have ultimately been proven valid and accurate. The game does a lot to merit the world part of the title, but not enough to merit that $80 price tag. Now I'm sort of stuck in this position of being in the middle ground towards the folks who praise up a storm for this game and the people who hate this game to pieces. I'd say a fitting score for this game is a 7 out of 10 at the end of the day. It's on pace to be the best Mario Kart, but its issues hold it back way too much. Would I recommend it? Sure, just go for the bundle and don't buy the game separately unless you want to waste your money. Not here to be the money police though. Well, that's one racing game down. 2 more to go. Now, if anyone needs me, I'm going to be jamming to Toad's Factory for the next 10 hours. Like and subscribe!